Hey everybody, this is Matthew and welcome back to Nerd News Today. And once again, it is time for another pro wrestling figure review. And one of the best lines that's coming out right now is from Mattel. This is their Ultimate Edition of WWE figures. And today we got our hands on the Amazon.com exclusive of The Rock. I have held off on buying a Rock figure for quite some time because once I saw that the Ultimate Editions were announced, I thought at some point they were going to make an Ultimate Edition Rock, and well, here we are today. So first things first, let's take a look at the packaging of The Rock, and well, hey, it's identical to every other Ultimate Edition that we've seen so far, so I don't really need to go into too much detail about it. As opposed to the typical Elite figure, this box is a little bit bigger and has that very unique shape that I've been referring to as a shoebox. It has these diagonal slits on the sides of them that makes it stand out from the other figures, and it is a slightly larger packaging to hold more of the accessories that it comes with. The front of the box has a very large window display that lets you see inside it, and shows off all the many accessories this Rock comes with, which is 3 different heads, 8 hands, the Attitude Era Big Round Championship belt, a fabric t-shirt, a microphone, and sunglasses. The back of the box has a photo of The Rock on the top turnbuckle, asking if you smell what The Rock is cooking, of course, and the bottom has a picture of The Rock, along with a few of his stats. And the bio is actually pretty fun. It doesn't really tell you much about where this outfit comes from, of course. There's really no clues given other than what is in fact on his trunks. But that brief little paragraph that talks about The Rock is very much in his character, very kayfabe, and frankly, it's electrifying. On the sides of the box, on the one side we've got a photo of The Rock with his name, and the other side is just, well, his name. So nothing that you Ultimate Edition collectors haven't already seen on the packaging, but before I jump into taking him out of the box, there actually is one thing I want to point out. And I think that it's a very important thing, and it's something we're going to talk about a lot in this video. So take it away, Matt behind the camera. And what exactly is that important note that I want to talk about? It wasn't that many months ago that Mattel also released this. This is a collector's edition Elite figure of The Rock. This was originally a Walmart exclusive, and right now it is also available on Amazon. And the interesting thing about it is that The Rock Ultimate Edition right now, which is currently sold out across Amazon, it's hopefully going to come back in stock after this video airs. But this Rock is very much in stock, and he's also about $10 cheaper right now. And it's very important to note that while the collector's edition on the right did come out some months ago, it was hard to find. Now, thanks to Amazon, it's become a little bit more readily available. But for a $10 price difference is one worth getting over the other. And looking at this right up front here, you guys can see there's a lot of things that are very much the same. And what I'm talking about is that The Rock has a fabric t-shirt on both of these, different logos, but still has a t-shirt. They both come with microphones. This Rock has a SmackDown mic, this one is just a generic WWE mic. They both have the identical sunglasses, and what's more important and possibly most disappointing is I think their legs might be identical also. And same for the arms too. The arms seem to be the exact same arms. The elbow pads are the exact same elbow pads. The crotch piece is going to be the same. And yeah, as I mentioned, it looks like the legs are identical because The Rock does have those very distinct boots, and well, you can see them right here in both of them. So I don't know if one articulation is going to be superior to the other. I'm hoping that the Ultimate Edition maybe has something else that the other one doesn't. I can't remember. But for the most part, these things are very similar. As far as I could tell, the only thing that's going to be really different on this Rock is the torso, which we can't see, and of course the heads, the hands, and the belt. But even then, this Rock here comes with 6 hands, this Rock comes with 8. And it looks like that we're getting some of the repeat hands, in fact, because yeah, we both have hands that can grab. You can see them on this Rock here. We both have closed fists, so you can see them down there, and they both have the same open hands. And oddly enough, they both have hands that have fallen out of their little spots there. So there's a lot of similarities between these two Rocks. Is one worth buying over the other? Well, we're going to have to go ahead and open up this figure to find out. So back to you, Matt, in the chair. So this time around, this video isn't just a figure review, it's a review and a comparison to another toy that's just come out, similar time period, representing a similar time period of The Rock as well. And well, yeah, there's a little bit of a price difference here. So we're going to take a look and see if it's actually worth getting this very hard to find, as of now, Ultimate Edition figure of The Rock versus the much more accessible Elite Edition of The Rock. So without further ado and no more pomp and circumstances, let's go ahead and take our Rock out of the packaging and get an up-close and personal look at this figure. And here is the Ultimate Edition Rock out of the packaging. And you guys will note that I do have him standing on a Ringside Collectibles figure base here. That's because I'm having a little bit of trouble standing up the Rock right now. I'm hoping that as his joints loosen up, it won't be as big of a deal. But right now, having a little bit of trouble standing up on his own 2 feet. And normally I would talk first about the likeness and some other things, but I want to actually get to the t-shirt first because I want to take that thing off of him. Mostly just because, as you guys have heard me talk about in other reviews, and if you're a hardcore collector, you already know this, but fabric t-shirts tend to stain figures. And I want to remove that from this equation immediately. So let's talk about this shirt here. It's got the Brahma bull on it. It's a very nice print. The material that we're seeing is identical to any other Elite shirt we've seen, any other shirts used. It's got a Velcro enclosure system in the back. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take it off actually in a moment. But just to see what the range of motion is with it, you know, yeah, it's not going to really hinder any poses. It looks like it's fine, nice and stretchy. But yeah, I don't want to have this on him long term because it will stain him. I've been told you can give the fabric a little bit of a wash to remove some of that excess ink, and I'm going to do that later on, see how it works out. I recommend not doing it super warm, because if you did it super warm, it's going to probably warp the fabric of the shirt, and we don't want that to happen. So as I'm doing this, by the way, I just took him off the base because I was trying once again, see if I can get him to stand up in his own power. And all right, looks like I just got it actually, which is nice. But I did notice a really cool thing about his joints. I'm going to come back to that point a little bit later on. So for now, since I've got him off the base, let's keep him that way for as long as we can. So let's go ahead now and dive into likenesses. I say plural because there are 3 likenesses with the Rock figure. We've got the head currently on him that's raising the people's eyebrow. Then we've got a plain Rocky over here, just a very plain face, nothing too fancy about that. And then we have a screaming pain face, which is, I think, probably the strongest likeness, but they're actually all very good. I've seen a few complaints about the face. I don't know what they're complaining about, to be honest. I think this is the best Rock sculpt we've gotten so far from anybody. I think the hair on all of them is really good. They're all different hair sculpts too from what it looks like. You can see the back of the head here. It's got a lot less waves than this one does, the Screaming Rock head. I think they're all very, very excellent Rock head sculpts. No complaints. To be honest, really, the people's eyebrow is probably the weakest just because the mouth looks a little different. I think the Rock on this one here, you know, I don't know, it's one of these two. One of the, either the plain or the raising eyebrow head. Something about the mouth there isn't quite right on one of them, but I don't know which one. But they both look good enough that I'm kind of letting it pass right now. Yeah, all 3 head sculpts, so you can't go wrong. I think the one thing, though, that there has been a misstep here is the paint on really all 3 of these. All 3 of these head sculpts have little schmutzy bits on them. You can see on the one on this hand here, something on his cheek. He's got a Cindy Crawford mole, and he's got some on his forehead running down, some paint running down there. There's also a little bit of just dirt and grime almost on the head that's currently on the body. And same thing here with the forehead and the side of the eyebrow, in fact, too. Just the paint, not good. So you might be able to remove that with a magic eraser. But up front, you know, that's a big, big major turnoff for me. I hate seeing head sculpts have schmutz. That's usually my #1 reason not to buy a figure. And to be completely honest, if Amazon wasn't sold out of these figures right now and they were on back order and I wasn't worried about them not getting them, I would probably return them and do a swap. And I actually might still try and do a swap after the fact. So we'll see how that progresses. And I've heard from other folks who already got the Rock figure that this seems to be a problem across all of them. They all seem to have some QC issues in the paint with the faces. So just buyer beware about that. Luckily, it's Amazon, so if you get it, you don't like it, you should be able to easily send it back as long as it's still sealed. I might have to fight a little bit with Amazon to see if I can return this one or at least do a swap, but I'll update you as I know about that, if I choose to do that. So let's talk about the body now. Does this look like the Rock? I'd say, yeah, this perch does look like the Rock's body. It's not quite as big as he would be a little bit later on. I think this is still meant to be late 99, early 2000 Rock. And I'm basing that mostly on the sideburns here. So body type, I think for the most part, they got that down right. You know, the Rock's outfits, all you can really tell the difference about is with those trunks. So I don't remember exactly when he had the silver trunks. I'd love to pinpoint what era this actually is from. So if anybody out there knows for sure when this Rock is from, let me know in the comments, please. Now the body, it kind of does look a little bit of undersized, even though I do like it. I feel like the lats could have been a little bit bigger on him. This is a very lean Rock figure. And it reminds me a lot of almost the Figuarts figures, in fact. And I'm going to bring in a figure now just to compare it to, even though we're not going to do the comparison until later on. But here's a John Cena figure, John Cena Ultimate Edition figure. And you can see what I mean. Like, his lats are definitely much bigger, much more defined. For whatever reason, this Rock, he's a lot slimmer. And also his midsection here too, just looks kind of thin, almost like an hourglass figure on him. And that's a detractor for me. So while I do like the body, I'm okay with it, I think it's slim, and I think it's too slim. Should be a little bit more thick, if you know what I mean. And on the subject of the body, let's talk about articulation. So we've got a ball-jointed head, we have ball-jointed shoulders, we have, I believe, double-jointed elbows, but he's got elbow pads on, so that's going to hinder some of that movement. The wrists, there we go, they bend, they can also flex back and forth. We already saw that he's got the buck that can move, which I really love about the Ultimate Editions, great for posing. The waist turns, he can do a big old split there. We've got double jointed knees, but of course elbow pads are going to cut down some of that. He's got thigh movement as well. And the feet are different from the Elite Editions. I forgot that they have the toe joint as well, so that's a major difference. But yeah, the Rock's articulation is going to be different in general because he's got those special boots. And as I discovered when I took him off the base, this happened. So that's how these are going to move, and they don't really seem to move that well with that off him. yeah, they don't really move. So that's probably why I'm having so much trouble getting him to pose. They're just kind of not ideal. So yeah, if you can get him to stand up, that's probably about the best you can do. Not going to get a ton of mobility out of that. So articulation is comparable to an elite. You get the buck torso, which moves, that's fine. But otherwise, because he's got the elbow pads, because he has the knee pads, and because he has those distinctive rock boots, you're going to lose a little bit of articulation on that. So if we're going to go back to that Elite Edition figure we looked at the start of this video, really the only difference you're getting in articulation is going to be that buck piece right here. So let's now go ahead and start trying on some different accessories. And I do want to try on these sunglasses that this figure comes with, which are, again, identical to what the Elite Edition figure is going to have. That's how that looks there. But it looks okay. It looks fine for me. And I think that it's going to have no problem fitting on the other heads because they all have similar ears, similar hair. Shouldn't be any difference. But really, this is going to be the only version of the Rock that you put these glasses on. Maybe the plain head too, but yeah, it's better off like this. Why don't we swap some heads now too while we're on the subject, 'cause I haven't done that yet either. And those heads count as accessories. So we'll pop it off like that. Let's go ahead and put on plain-faced Rock for a little bit. There we go. I want to say that these heads are really, really stiff right now out of the box. So I'd recommend to protect your figures, you get yourself a hairdryer and give them a little bit of a quick run with that. Heat them up, heat up the joints. Everything should move a lot smoother with that. So we've got a microphone, as we mentioned. I'm going to put that into one of his hands here. Let's go ahead and put it into his right hand. And these are the gripping hands. These are meant to hold the accessories. And now the Rock can cut promos and smell all sorts of things, because that's what the Rock does. He smells things. And he smells what you're cooking. I don't know where I'm going with that one. But the mic fits fine. It's the same mic you've gotten probably time and time again with other figures. But now it's here with the Rock, so that works. The main thing about this Rock is actually his hands, and he has 8 of them, as we said. So let's get rid of these 2 right now. Let's put his Just Bring It hand on in one hand, and I'll put a flat hand in the other. For the most part, I think the flat hand is not new. I think really the only hand that's like new and exclusive to the Rock is this Just Bring It hand. So now you can go ahead and have the Rock tell somebody to shut up, and then just bring it. So that looks really cool. I like that there's lots of different hands on him, in fact. We've seen the closed fist before. I'll put them on in some photos later on, but I don't really feel the need to swap them out right now. And again, he has a Just Bring It hand for the other side as well, another flat hand. So, you know, a variety of different hands here. That part's really cool. The heads are really nice. So the accessories aren't bad so far, but I'll give you my final thoughts on those a little bit later. And last but not least, he has the Attitude Era Championship belt, which was one of my favorite belts, especially as a toy. And let's see if I can get it around his waist. It does look really nice. I've got no complaints about this belt. One of my favorite Mattel belts, I think, ever. Even though it might not be my favorite belt of all time, as far as toys go, I mean, that looks good. But on the other hand, I believe we've already gotten this belt before. And I think this came with the Ultimate Edition Triple H, which I currently don't own. I'm going to change that, I think, probably come Black Friday. But yeah, we've gotten this belt before. That's fine. I'm always just happy to have belts in general with the figures. And it looks great in the Rock. I think the Rock is like the main guy to wear this belt for me. Like, that's the iconic look, is the Rock with this one on him. And I think this is an updated medallion as well, because I have one of these from another figure, but I don't remember it looking quite as big, quite as round. And I think the design looks way better on this belt. So again, chances are this came with Triple H and it was probably the same belt as we're seeing today. But for me, I've only gotten this belt one other time with one other figure, and it does look different to me. So maybe it's just my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe it actually is a little bit bigger and better sculpted. So you guys can let me know if this actually is a new belt that was made for the Ultimate Edition figures, or if I just completely forgot what the other belt looked like. So let's do some size comparisons with a few other figures now. We already saw how he looked with the Ultimate Edition John Cena, and height-wise, you can see there's a difference there too, which is really cool. I thought the Cena was actually like the best Cena ever, and arguably one of the better ones in this Ultimate Edition line so far. But you already saw how he looked with John Cena, so I'm going to bring in an Elite figure now, and this is the Elite Roman Reigns. It just came out not that long ago. I like that figure a lot. If you haven't seen a review of this Roman Reigns figure, I think you should check it out. I think this is probably the Roman Reigns to get, if you don't want to buy any others ever again. And I've also got our AEW Chris Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly figure. I'm actually still waiting on getting my first series of AEW figures. Haven't gotten those yet, or else you would have seen a review of them a long time ago. But here's how all these wrestling figures stand up together. Of course, the Rock fits in just fine with the Mattels, and same thing with the AEW figures. They're all on the same scale, so no problems there. But let's try some other figures from some other lines. How about a Marvel Legends Silver Centurion Iron Man? And the reason he has his hands in this weird pose is because he's about to do some power blasts, or at least he would have if he hadn't fallen over. I mean, to be fair, this is from like the same period where Tony Stark was getting drunk a lot, so that makes sense. And I've also got one of my new favorite figures, in fact. This is from McFarlane Toys. This is Cyborg from their DC Multiverse line. Cyborg is a slightly larger figure, but the Rock seems to fit in just fine with that. I'm going to take out Drunk Iron Man, and I'm going to replace him with another figure we also just reviewed, one I really, really like. This is Diamond Select's new Star Wars line. So this is not a Star Wars Black figure. This is Diamond's figures, which are more in scale with 7-inch toys. And he stands up also very nice with the Rock. He looks great with the Rock, actually. That's really good. So final thoughts on this Rock figure. And overall, I don't really have necessarily a lot of complaints about it. It's a good figure. I think the head sculpts are all really good. I like all of them very much. I think the accessories are fine. The belt looks really, really good, of course. The glasses are great. The mic is great. The different hands are, I think, the biggest boon to this figure, aside from the heads, of course. But is it worth buying versus that Elite Edition that we looked at earlier? And really, those two figures are almost from very similar time periods. I think they're like at most a year apart from each other, because that other figure, as we mentioned, is a SmackDown figure. So that would have been 2000 most likely that came out. So that would have represented more or less about 2000 or the end of 99. And I will say this, that now looking at both figures side by side, I think that the Ultimate Edition absolutely has a superior head sculpt. And that's not saying that the Rock head sculpt is bad on that Elite figure. It's actually okay. But the biggest difference is that nose. And when I got this Elite Edition and I saw the nose, I thought it looked kind of funny, but I wasn't quite sure. Then I got this Ultimate Edition figure here and I realized that, yeah, the Rock's nose is too darn big on that Elite figure. So as far as getting most accurate look, the Ultimate Edition wins it. As far as accessories go, Ultimate Edition will win it just because it's got that extra hand and the belt. And of course, the extra heads don't hurt the equation in any way whatsoever. Articulation-wise, all it really has over it is the toes and the buck. And that's not really, it's not a big deal, really. I mean, it's made a bigger difference in other figures. I feel like with this Rock here, it doesn't quite do as much. And he does just look so slim and trim here, and I don't think that's right. I think that's a little wrong. I feel like this figure should be a little bit wider. But does this figure deserve the moniker of Ultimate Edition? Is this the one Rock you need in your collection that you then don't have to worry about buying another Rock figure again? I'll say yes to that. And again, I'm basing this off of the Rock figure that we just saw earlier in the video, because otherwise, that was a pretty iconic Rock. It came with a t-shirt, came with the hands, came with a lot of different things. If you're an Elite collector and you want to stick to the Elite look, I think that's a great Rock to have that'll keep you happy in your collection for many, many years to come. As for the most iconic look of the Rock, I think that, yeah, this one here is probably going to be the winner. Hits a lot of the high points. It has the 3 different heads to add a lot of different expressions to it. It pretty much has all the points. And I don't know what could have been done differently to make this figure any more ultimate, to be honest. I mean, it's got all the points there. It's got the tattoo. It's got the trunks. I mean, they pretty much nailed everything. I think for me, just what kind of throws me off still is just how slim this Rock figure looks. And how it's just unfortunately still a little too similar to that Elite Edition to make me super duper excited about it. So as far as Ultimates go, I do recommend this figure. I think it's absolutely worth getting. But if you don't want to spend that extra $10, then go ahead and just get the Elite version. But for my money, I do believe this is the superior Rock by just a little tiny hair. And on that note, while it is currently sold out on Amazon, having now looked at it, I have a feeling that other reviewers are going to feel kind of the same about this figure here. And the way these Ultimate figures work is they either sell out real quick and they start jumping up in price in the secondary market, or they kind of linger like the Finn Balor and the Triple H, in fact. And I get the sneaky feeling this Rock here, well, based on the fact that he is an Amazon exclusive, I think he'll go up in price a little bit, but I don't think this Rock is ever going to see the numbers that the Shawn Michaels or the Brock Lesnar hit, and especially not what Warrior ever hit. I don't think this will be a clearance figure either, but really that's just speculation. My point being is that if you had to wait a little bit to get this one, not the worst, but don't wait too long. So that's our look at the Ultimate Edition Rock figure from Mattel. This is an exclusive to Amazon.com, and if you want to pick this up, why not use our Amazon affiliate links in the description below? Helps us out and costs you guys nothing extra, and as of now, that is the only way to get this figure. And likewise, with that Elite Edition Rock that we saw at the start of the video, if you'd prefer to get that one for yourself, we're also going to have an Amazon affiliate link for you right down there. So let the buyers decide which one is the best. Let me know which one you've decided to purchase if you're going to get any of these Rock figures. And yeah, I was trying to pose the Rock like he was doing a promo here, but instead it just kind of looks like he's singing the national anthem. I don't know. I think it still looks kind of cool. So regardless, that's our Rock figure. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. And do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Because I do. And I'm going to go get me some. So I'll see you guys later. I'm hungry. Bye.